This is Speaking of Pets podcast, where we give you up-to-date, accurate, science-based information when making decisions about your pet's health.
From experts in dermatology like my sister, surgery, internal medicine, CBD use in pets, the pet food industry, you name it. If it affects pets, we'll talk about it.
Hey, Janet. We are so lucky today. One of my classmates, Dr. Kim Stewart, is a search and rescue person with her dog, Seamus. And little background, she's an Akronite, so, kind of local to us. Did her undergrad at Akron.
Go Zips.
She's an Akronite. She, of course, went to OSU, College of Veterinary Medicine. We graduated together in 1989. Then she did this working dog practitioner thing at Penn State College of Veterinary Medicine. She is certified with the Emergency Management Institute, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. I'm getting nervous already. FEMA, the National Incident Management System, and she's done all these lectures about search and rescue, more than 50 search and rescues. I am so impressed by the work you and Seamus are doing. You are helping so many people, be it alive or not, but we just can't wait to, Janet, I don't know if you want to start, because I have a million questions.
What kind of dog is Seamus?
Oh. He's a Labrador Retriever, so he's a black lab. Yeah, I've had Labradors for almost 40 years, I guess. So,
well, and how do you train like a dog to be search and rescue? Like, how does he know what to go for?
Well, so the hunting breeds of which he is tend to be some of the better choices because they already have, inbred in their psyche, right, to like to use their nose to hunt for things. So, Labradors are classically bird dogs. Duck dogs, dove dogs, quail, upland game, upland birds, or waterfowl. But we just train the nose that he's hunting for something else, a different odor.
And I see Seamus is in the background.
He's in the background, yes.
Yay!
He's taking his afternoon nap.
Is it his day off?
Yes. Well, he had his swimming workout today, so.
Oh,
yeah.
Now that's a good question. So does he have some kind of workout daily, or how do you do that?
We try to. He's nursing a left front limb injury, so we're having to deal with that a little bit. So pool workouts are good because they're non-weight bearing, and he does sprint training in the pool for his cardiovascular fitness.
Wow! And
so. He's a retriever, so that's pretty easy to do as long as there's a ball or a bumper or a toy in the pool. He's fine with that.
So does he have a personal trainer?
Well, I am his personal trainer. He also works with a physical therapist at Texas A&M.
Wow.
He does water treadmill with, and we do cold laser therapy at my clinic, and he has, does some balance core work, abdominal work like planking and, balance work for his front and back legs. And so we do all that at home, but they wrote the program for me. Wow. And so he does that to try to prevent injury. They've shown if their core is stronger, they can prevent especially ACL or CCL tears in their knees. So we try to keep them healthy.
He does downward facing dog really well.
He does. That's his trophy.
That's the stretch.
Every morning.
Well, Kim, I want to start at the beginning. What made you and Seamus go into tracking and search and rescue? I mean, was it your idea, or was he already tracking, or fill us in?
So I guess it was something in the back of my mind that I thought would be fun and rewarding to do with a dog at some point is to look for missing people. And then he was a very high drive, high energy dog. So he needed a job, and agility just wears and tears at their joints. Labs aren't great at agility, dock diving, a lot of labs like that, but that's, definitely you have to have safe water. It's got to be the right time of year. Just running with him again is, high impact injury to their joints. And so when I got the opportunity to go spend the day with Texas Task Force, and they have a canine team there, somebody had recommended that maybe Seamus would fit the bill. And it's a great team, but it's hard to run a business and be on task force because if you get deployed, you're gone for 2 weeks. And so there was a wilderness team that some of the task force canine handlers were also on. Instead of doing search work for urban disasters, they look for the missing in the woods. So I went over and then spent part of the day with them and decided, this is the team we want to try out for and the team he needs to be on. So
you have to try out.
You have to. They first. You have to be kind of voted on the island in search and rescue. Even if you're not a canine handler, you have to learn to be safe in the woods. You have to get trained in orienteering and, how to search a crime scene, how to search tracks in the woods, how to have what we call clue consciousness or clue awareness to look for clues that, might lead you to the missing person. So then we have to get certified with search and rescue. So SAR is the NASAR, is the National Accredited Search and Rescue Organization for United States. So we have to get certified through them. We have to take swift water awareness classes to make sure we don't drown, or we at least can prevent ourselves from being at higher risk. And so there's a whole, we have to learn the incident command system, which is what law enforcement does when there's a disaster, how interagencies can work together and they know the chain of command and how it works. So we have to be certified in all of that.
So when a crime happens, so the local police, the FBI or whoever it is, are there different agencies or organizations all over the country and they call one of them?
Yes. So, depending on what they need a search dog for, right? So if it's a missing child with Amber Alert, right?
Right.
They kind of have to know where they were last seen, right? That they were abducted. For an Amber Alert, to even meet the criteria for an Amber Alert, you have to prove they were in danger, know where they might have been last, and so then law enforcement in the local area usually calls you out first, right? Sometimes it's sheriff, sometimes it's police or fire, depending on who runs search and rescue in the city and the county. And then it can go to a much higher level. We've been called out by the FBI and we've been called out by Texas Rangers. We've worked for ICE. We've worked with the Texas Attorney General, and we've worked with DPS. So we've worked with, kind of law enforcement from city all the way to national level.
So does Seamus have like fans? Do you know what I mean?
Does he have fans? Well, I know there are a lot of search dogs who have pages, where they have their own Instagram. Because we do work crime scenes, we do want to maybe keep our profile a little bit lower if somebody decided to maybe hold a grudge.
Have you ever felt kind of threatened when you're out there with Seamus? But,
not, so we always go with law enforcement, Now, I was on a search that there were alligators in the water and alligators coming on shore. That was probably the most threatening search I've been on. Kind of the natural, threats, snakes. Of course, we have snakes here and alligators. We have terrain that can be threatening, and storms do come up pretty quickly here in Texas. Yeah. So we've had to get out of search areas and get to high ground quickly because flash flooding, unfortunately, does happen in our state. So,
and what motivates Seamus?
That's a good question. So he thinks his ball is out there somewhere,
eternally.
So we pair. So he's a human remains detection dog. So they used to call those cadaver dogs. They kind of have gotten away from that term, at least with the general public, because it can be offensive. Maybe, they believe their loved one is still alive. Correct. And so they might not even know that Seamus is a different type of dog. But law enforcement determines when that resource needs to be used. And they actually got away from that term when the Challenger crashed. And the media kept calling the astronauts cadavers. And NASA was very offended, as were the families. So, human remains detection, but we pair the odor. So we train on source that has human remains odor, and we pair that odor with a reward, and it's his toy. And then we train them not to just find their toy or the odor that they'll get their toy for, but also that they can tell us that they've found it. So he uses what's called an active alert. When he finds odor, he stands beside it and barks until we catch up with him. Some dogs have passive alerts where they lay beside what they found and they stare at it. That's a bomb dog. A lot of narcotics dogs do that because maybe they don't want to alert a lot of attention to themselves or set off a bomb, obviously. So in the wilderness, we like to have that active alert, right? That dog that can get us to them quickly. And especially if we can't see them, they're in dense woods or they range. He might range, a quarter to a half mile away from me when we're searching. He moves a little faster with 4 legs. So we just need to be able to find where he is, where he's.
Does he start digging or does he just bark and tell you?
You're not allowed to dig.
Oh, okay.
Because that could disturb a crime scene, right?
Oh, that's...
So they're not allowed to dig. That's a no-no.
Wow.
Is there an internship? I mean, like you can only do so much like classwork, and then do you like follow another dog? How does it progress?
So you're best off to get with a team, a team in your area, with seasoned canine handlers that have done it for a number of years. Every handler has a different way of doing things. They have different advice that they might give you. Which is all great. Not all the advice is going to work for you or your dog, right? Depending on your personality, your dog's personality. So you take all that information, kind of sort through it, sift through it, and see what works. But finding a good mentor is really key to being successful. And I've been fortunate, here on our team, which is Search Dog Network of Bryan College Station, the team has been here for almost 30 years, so there's lots of experience on the team. And
so were they involved? Were the teams involved in the Challenger?
So our former commander of our team, the president of our team, who actually started
that was Columbia. No, I'm sorry, it was Columbia.
Columbia, yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yes, he was involved in those searches because he was military then, and he was actually in Colorado at that time. But yes, so he was involved, firsthand in that. And then when he left the military and moved here, he started our branch of Search Dog Network, and he worked with Texas Task Force when he came here. So. And the task forces came about after the Oklahoma City bombing. Right. And the world watched as Oklahoma struggled to be able to integrate, law enforcement and rescue operations to deal with this catastrophic disaster. And so Texas was one of the first states that said, that's not going to be us. And so they started Texas Task Force 1. Now not every state has a task force, but most do. Texas has 2 because it's a big state. One's based here with Texas A&M University, and then the other one's based in Dallas, Task Force 2.
Boy, chain of command is very important then, isn't it?
It is, because, you have to know who's in charge, and you have to be able to take orders and understand, what your resources are and communicate and be able to sit and wait, which sometimes is the hardest, but,
when we interviewed Dr. Moore, Rusty, our classmate, the dean, when he was over in New Orleans for Katrina, he was telling me off camera how important it was when he got there about saving the horses. And he said nobody was in charge. Everyone was just kind of standing around looking at each other. And he said, so I took charge. And it makes a big difference because, okay, you go here, you go there. You have to have a plan. And I can't even imagine in that Oklahoma City bombing how horrible to not have a chain of command and say, okay, this is where we're going to start and this is how we're going to proceed.
Yeah. I mean, it was just such a, there's been several since, the building collapse in Florida, and of course, 9/11, fortunately, the task force were around for 9/11.
Do you ever take Seamus to schools? I bet it would inspire kids.
He
You
does.
as a veterinarian and Seamus is a lovely pet. How does that go?
Yes, we have our speaking circuit, so to speak.
Oh, do you?
So yeah, we do obviously a lot of different things. A lot of different groups here in town. Whether they're the women of the Texas Republic, or there's a class that I lecture in once every semester at Texas A&M. It's a class it's called Aggie Achieve, and they teach a domestication of animals course. And the Aggie Achieve program is actually for students that are developmentally disabled, will never be able to have a college degree, but they get to go to college, live on campus, get certificates in different courses. And one of the courses is the domestication of animals. So they focus on horses, dogs. And they also do, some of the things like poultry and, domestication of animals through the food chain. But it's a great opportunity for these kids to get that college experience. I have a younger sister who's developmentally disabled, and to think that she could have done, something like that when she was young would have been just a great opportunity. So we do that. We there's a criminal justice camp at the Sam Houston State University here, and they teach criminology. They offer a lot of college degrees in criminal justice. So he goes and does usually in the summers lectures there and demonstrations. But we probably, and then we do certain different student orgs. But we probably do half a dozen a year that we do demonstrations. Once a month we go down to City of Bryan. It's what they call First Friday, where all sorts of volunteer organizations are there, and we're with Amber Alert when we're there, and so he's out there meeting the public. The dogs really draw the public in.
Yep.
And then we get the families to come in and get these kits and be prepared, get your kid registered and have everything you might need. God forbid your child would go missing. You don't want to be scrambling to find out what the steps are. And so the dogs are really good. We use the dogs. I don't tell people what Seamus looks for. He just looks for people. I don't, reiterate that he's a human remains dog, but it just does great. They're great icebreakers to have that conversation with parents,
Hey, did you know that for dogs and cats that could benefit from a prescription diet, Blue Buffalo offers natural veterinary diets formulated by animal nutritionists and veterinarians for certain dietary needs like kidney support, weight management, gastrointestinal support, and my particular favorite, dermatology. They make a food allergic diet that's an alligator-based called NP, or a hydrolyzed salmon-based for dogs and cats called HF. Contact your veterinarian about these prescription Blue Buffalo diets. Tell us about that Seamus was a cover boy on Insight Magazine. Tell us that, because we have a picture. Yes, and Duke's going to put that up. I know. Tell us how that came about.
So, because Insight Magazine is a local magazine that just celebrated its 40th anniversary. They've served Brazos Valley for quite a number of years. And they approached our president. They were doing a whole issue on not-for-profits that go above and beyond for the community. So Search Dog Network was nominated, and they came out and spent a couple training sessions with the team, and kind of got their bios of some of us, and then decided that they wanted to use Seamus as the cover dog, and then do an extra insert on him, since he was, right now, he's currently the most experienced dog on the team. And, of course, that changes, so that was kind of fun. And he's very sociable, so he's, makes friends easy. So he's very approachable.
I saw on Facebook about the cocktail party. Was he there for that?
He did not go. I thought it might be easier not to have the high energy dog with me.
Do you know, like when they're puppies, is there like an instinct that which one's going to be a good rescue dog?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's actually, that happens. Those of us who are handlers, we want to know how to screen dogs, because inevitably we're going to have to do it again, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our dogs age out, which is probably the hardest thing for handlers. They age out, or they injury out, or get sickness, and so we have to pull them from the field. And so we want to be able to, as quickly as we can, identify, the next dog.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's easier to get a young adult dog, maybe at a shelter, or a hunting breed that somebody has decided they don't have time for, and see if they have the attributes that they need to be a good search and rescue dog. The first and foremost is toy drive. So that means I want to play with that toy, and I want to play with it all the time, because that is the reward usually. Occasionally dogs will work for food. A Labrador would work for food, but there are downfalls to that. Obviously, they just ate, they're full, and now you get a call, and maybe they're not going to be as driven. If some dogs get GI upset when they're working hard, or they're excited, do we want to fuel that fire with food reward? So definitely toy drive and toy reward is the best, and dogs who love those toys, no matter what the toy. I mean, there was a dog that his toy was he carried around a golf club. I mean, that was his toy.
Like a metal golf
size one?
A metal golf club. I said, I think I would have trained that out of that dog, but it's not my dog. I'm not his handler. Kind of hard to pack in your pack, but whatever. And so, and then they have to have what we call the hunt or the prey drive, where they will continue to look for their toy when it's out of sight. So it's one thing to be excited when they see the toy in your hand or see it on the ground. So we test them for that too. We take the toy and we throw it in heavy, dense, grass or high, tall weeds, and they have to. The quick screening is they have to look for it for at least a minute, preferably 2 minutes, before they give up, or for as long as it takes for them to look for it, as long as they look for 2 minutes. So those are the quick screening. The third thing we screen for is toy possessiveness. So we don't want a dog so possessive of the toy that once they get it, they won't give it back and start working again. Or they resource guard, and you can't get the toy from them at all, and they start becoming, maybe aggressive about it. We don't want that either. So once they have to be friendly, because we do interface with the public. We don't want them to be aggressive with strangers or people, and they can't be aggressive with other dogs, because they may be working next to another dog in the field, and they have to be able to ignore that other dog because their toy is more important than that other dog or that other person over there. So, so they're screening for sure. The last thing we look for is nerve strength, because they're asked to go in new situations all the time. They can't be afraid to bust brush. They can't be afraid to maybe swim across a stream or go up a ravine or go through a tunnel or a pipe. So they have to, and sometimes there's lots of sounds. We're working with helicopters and drones. So.
Wow. I'm curious, you mentioned you carry a pack. Do you carry first aid supplies? What do you carry?
So the biggest thing we carry is water.
Okay.
That is the single most dangerous thing for our working dogs, is overheating, not staying hydrated. And then we carry a canine first aid pack and a human first aid pack. We do have to carry things like a muzzle, and I carry a type of harness it's like a stretcher, but I can wear it like a backpack. So it folds up at all four legs, and I can, carry it on my back if he would get hurt and pack him out.
Oh, wow.
Usually I'm not by myself. I have somebody else working with me. Of course, things to stop the bleed, if we had a snake bite, those type of things, penetrating wounds. So, pretty basic first aid. And then we do carry things for a victim, especially a live victim, like a solar blanket to wrap them in, something if we needed to make a neck or head support for that individual. And of course, usually extra water and lots of water, obviously for ourselves, but for the canine, as well.
So you must have a personal trainer if you're going to carry that dog on your back.
We do have to pass the physical fitness test to be on the team, the wilderness pack test, which, generally it's carrying 25 pounds on your back over 2 miles, and you have to get that 2 miles done without running in 30 minutes, and it's usually on uneven terrain. So we've got past that.
You
And
know,
if you weigh 200 pounds or 100 pounds, you still have to carry 25 pounds. So,
Janet, I don't think people have any idea the training that goes into this.
It's not for the faint of heart, and unfortunately, we get a lot of people that are enamored with it and want to come out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we usually very early on say, "Okay, follow us into the brush."
Yeah.
And sometimes we're on our hands and knees, bust some brush, stick it with the dogs, and that kind of weeds out the faint at heart pretty quickly.
Or seeing, this is terrible, but like seeing a dead body or remains that'd be upsetting to some people. Wow.
And you're right, it can be. And, usually there are resources, and we try to remind, especially flankers that are working with us that are trained in search and rescue but aren't canine handlers. We might not know them as well as I do my teammates if we're working with other teams. And so we do have to talk about that.
Wow.
This can be traumatizing right now, or maybe in a month or so it's traumatizing, or a year from now. So you have to understand that it can be hard to process, and there are people to talk with about that, right? So you can process it and not end up being depressed or permanently scarred.
Do you have a favorite story from being out in the field with Seamus?
Probably one of my proudest moments of Seamus was a sad story, and a lot of our stories are sad. So he's been on 50 missions and has found 10 victims. So probably the saddest was a 3-year-old little girl who Seamus was 3 years old when he found her. So that was, thinking, and she was abused. And so we were able to find her for the police. And she had been missing for a while, and it was a big search for this little girl. Her name was Raven Shields. It's published. And so there was a lot of lying by her family and lying to the FBI and to the police and Child Protective Services. So by the time we found her, the coroner could not identify how she died, which is very unfortunate. But it was our day in court, so we got called to court. And that is always what they warn you about. Keep good records. Seamus wears GPS so we can prove where he's been. Document everything. Document. Because one day you might be called to court, which we were. It was 3 years later. But his search was recorded by body cam. So they played that to the jury. And I discussed, how scent theory works, why he was moving the way he was, what his final trained response, that bark and hold is, and then what led to that area being excavated and to find her remains. And so we were mainly used to try to help law enforcement and help the DA, put her away for child endangerment, defamation of a corpse, lying to police, the FBI, and she got 70 years. So that made me pretty happy.
Yeah.
And to see that, we have these amazing creatures that have this ability that we don't have.
Right.
Yeah.
To do a job that I believe Seamus was created to do. And he does love doing it. I mean, on the video, he's doing his job, he's wagging his tail, and he's happy, and to try to educate law enforcement and educate the DA, this is a dog doing his job, helping you, and so that was fun too, educating this group of people who've never worked with a dog, what they can do.
I want to know what you feed Seamus. I mean, it's got to be some sort of high energy.
So I actually use Purina Pro Plan. So they have the sporting line.
Yes.
So that's
okay.
The high protein, sporting line, and of course they have to stay fit. Does he also eat apples and carrots? Yeah, those are what we stuff his Kong with. Those are his favorite. Lab will eat anything, mind you, but he's an apple carrot guy as well. So
he's got to keep that figure.
That's right. We monitor those calories. Yeah.
He can do his planks.
Exactly.
Janet, he puts us to shame. He really does.
Well, I got to tell you though, I can kick ass in a plank.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There you go.
I have a weird center of gravity. I can't. So I know what you want me to ask Dr. Stewart. Yeah. Her human or pet peeve, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, Kim, what do you say to that?
Well, it's humans that try to use their pets for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
My pet peeve is that the emotional support animal that's used for unfortunately, the number one reason that someone tries to register their pet as an emotional support, and you can do it for $35 on the internet, get special VAS centers, is so they don't have to pay their pet deposit. That's the number one reason why people do that.
Really?
The number two reason is so they can fly in an airplane.
Right.
Yeah.
But what that does is it kicks off the true service dog.
Yes.
That needs to be on the airplane, because they're only allowed to have so many pets on inside an airplane.
In the cabin.
And so that's very frustrating. And also, most of the emotional support animals you see are not trained. And so those people are actually putting their dogs and cats and peacocks in stressful situations that they're not prepared to be in. And so it's kind of, it's an oxymoron that, your pet isn't an emotional support. They need emotional support because you're putting them in a situation that they're not trained to be in.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I didn't know that bumped other pets off. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Janet, I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to train Libby now, because your dog and my Annie, because they're just like laying around.
No, I have to say, Libby's a golden retriever. She's a rescue, and I've never seen a dog. I'll throw the ball and she'll be like, there it went. And then she'll kind of forget about it for a second. But wait, then she does that thing like this, where she swoops the whole territory, like in an S, like she's trying to find it. And she'll keep going until she finds that tennis ball.
So that's a natural behavior in retrievers.
It's something.
It's called quartering.
Oh,
that's exactly what goes in areas.
Yeah. And so what's neat, so some dogs, trainers or handlers will try to teach their German Shepherd or their Dutchie or, maybe Border Collie or GSP to do it. And it's not a natural behavior for those breeds, but the retrievers, it is.
Wow.
And so that is another great benefit, right? To using a retriever.
She won't give up until she finds the ball. Like I'll be whistling. That's her call. Like I whistled to get her and she'll be like, I'm busy. And she's still scoping out, trying to find it.
So there's a search dog in the making right there.
There you go. I think she'd be good at it.
All right. Well, listen, I guess we're going to wind it up. I learned so much today, Kim. I mean, it's an exceptional thing. Not only the dog, but the handler. I mean, everything that you've gone through and learned, it's amazing to me. It really is. And how many years have you been doing this?
So we're 7 years in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you considered like a senior in the program?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe my age too. I don't know.
Oh, my age. Yeah, right.
But
I want the discount.
But how old is she?
What?
How old is he?
She's 10 years younger than me, because I was 10 years older.
Doctor, the dog. How old?
Seamus will be 9 next month.
And there's no age to retire him, right?
No, like I said, mainly it's, if they have an injury or illness, which we're kind of struggling with his left leg lameness, but, we're working through it. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you. This has been amazing. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Can we get Seamus?
Yeah. If I can get him where you can see him. Come here.
Seamus, on the chair.
Here he is. Oh, we love that.
Yeah. Oh, he's gorgeous. What a good guy. What good work you do.
There he is.
Okay, we're going to get a picture, Seamus. Hold still for 2 seconds. Ready, Duke?
Maybe somebody whistle.
Okay. He is so cute.
Oh, someone's at my door.
Oh, there he goes.
Oh, he's doing his job.
Someone's at the door. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you.
So listen, I'm Dr. Alice Novotny Jeroman, and
I'm Janet Novotny King.
And we're the Novotny Sisters, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. We hope you found the science-based information provided helpful in taking care of your pet. Check out our other Speaking of Pets episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
We'd love to hear from you. So email your pet photos and or pet peeves to contact@speakingofpetspod.com. Remember to follow Speaking of Pets on all social media.